Hi team, another summer day in a giant jumper. If I could wear jeans and Gunda jumpers 365 days a year, I bloody would. One day I might. Sponsor me, Gunda. Kidding, no one's gonna sponsor me. No one even watches these. Today we're going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, what am I going to talk about? The journey to getting pregnant with Ben. So I'm going to talk about how we got pregnant with our little baby boy Ben. So basically, at the end of high school, once I graduated high school, was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and then there's endometriosis going on. I've got adenomyosis. It's just a circus. It's a reproductive circus. It's hard basket. And one of the kind of main things that they tell you when you're diagnosed with PCOS is that getting pregnant is difficult. Difficult, lemon difficult. So, like all of my specialists in the past have said, you don't need to wait the standard time frame that they tell people, which I think is about 2 years. Like, if you don't have any weird stuff going on, you're supposed to like, people try by themselves for a bit, and then there's a bit of a time frame before healthcare professionals will step in and help you out. All of my specialists had basically told me, like, you don't need to wait that time frame. Like, it's basically impossible for you to get pregnant by yourself. And let me tell ya, they were right. So we had a time frame. I started going and kind of not assembling a team, but I went and saw my standard gynecologist, my lady. I was like, look, this is basically the game plan. What do I need to do? This was like 12 months before, we were aiming to kind of have a baby. I said, what do I need to do? Like, this is the outcome that we're after. Help me out. Who do I need to see? What do I do? And she's like, sweet, I'm going to refer you to, she sent me to a dietitian. She gave me like a game plan with a bunch of, this is what I want you to do. If nothing's happening, I want you to go and see one of these guys. And they were basically fertility specialists at the place that I was already going. Like, she is studying to be a fertility doctor, which is amazing because she's fabulous. But at that point in time, that wasn't really something that she specialized in. So she delivers babies, like, she's an obstetrician, but she didn't do like IVF or like, pregnancies. I don't know. She didn't do that bit. So she was going to refer me off to someone who's a bit more specialized. And that ended up being the case. Like, it didn't happen naturally as I kind of expected. So we made an appointment with that doctor, who is amazing. He's a very well-known fertility specialist in probably the world, but definitely, like, when you mention his name in hospitals, like, everybody knows who he is, and he's lovely, spectacular man. And he did like a bunch of investigations into me and, kind of work things out timing wise, and had a brief look at Christoph as well, just to make sure there's nothing going on there. And he basically told us, he's like, look, you can continue to try on your own if you like, that's fine. But basically, getting pregnant naturally for you guys is like being blindfolded, shooting an arrow at a moving target. And sometimes the target is not there. It's basically the situation that we were in. So we had a couple of, had a bit of a think, and we had a few different options kind of outlaid for us. The option that we went with was basically assistance with ovulation. So there's a few different medications, I think, that you can use to do this. So basically what they do is they put you on medication, this is my experience. I should preface this with, this is my experience. It's obviously not going to be the same for everybody, but this is what worked for us. This was the game plan for us. And I'm going to kind of set out step by step what happened, how we did it, the time frames, etc. So essentially what they did for me was to simulate a standard kind of 28-day cycle. So for many women who have polycystic ovaries, that's something that doesn't happen for you. Like, I haven't had a regular cycle ever at all in my life. You know, before doctor's appointments have tracked them. I still track them. I track them using an app on my phone, and it's like insane. Like, my app, I swear, thinks I'm pregnant like every month, and it's like, you need to log the start of your cycle. Yeah, look, it's not happening, bitch. So relax. So yeah, so basically the plan was to simulate a clockwork cycle. So the way that they do that is you can either start with the ovulation medication, but to do that you need to have had a period. Alternatively, which is how we did it the first time, you can take this medication which brings on a bleed, a period, whatever you would like to call it, and then it's all timed. So you take that medication, and then there's a certain time period after you take the medication, like there's a little bit of a window, and then you have your bleed as such, and then on the first day, like, it's kind of all timed for how they want the cycle to work. For us, it was on the first day of that bleed you start taking Clomid, and then it, you know, kind of they follow it basically. So he was like, yep, start taking the medication on this day. We did 5 days of Clomid, and then they book you in to come and do a scan so they can see if you have any little follicles forming, and then they can gauge based on the size of the follicles that are forming in your ovaries. They can guesstimate basically when they think that you'll ovulate. Like, if you really wanted to go ham about it, you could, I guess, try and gauge. If you were aiming for a specific gender, you could try and time it, but we're just trying to get a baby in there. Like, it didn't, trying to kind of time it for genders, no. So yes, that was basically how the cycle worked. So you have the scan, they assign you the days, and then they book you in for a blood test, which is 14 days after the date that they guesstimate that you're going to ovulate. And then that is essentially, if the cycle has been successful, that's how you find out that you're pregnant from that blood test. So it's, it is quite clinical. It was kind of hard to reconcile, that need for the natural kind of process that a lot of women, I think, want to see take place. Like, it's hard to reconcile that with the manner in which we got pregnant. And we got pregnant the first time. It was a successful cycle, I guess. Unfortunately, we did not get to keep that baby. We had a miscarriage, which is a story for another time. It's quite a hectic story. We arranged to have a second cycle of Clomid, and let me tell you, like, that office, the doctor that I see specifically, or that I saw specifically to get pregnant with Ben, he's a very popular doctor. It's hard sometimes to get appointments with him, to book in, have initial consultations and stuff. He's very good at kind of rearranging his schedule to fit people in, because obviously fertility treatments is often like you need to do stuff on specific days. So we had quite a few early morning appointments and late afternoon appointments, and he was great like that. So when we actually got pregnant with Ben, it was one of those, like, it never happens to me because I don't ever have periods, but was sitting on the train on the way to work in the city, and I don't know if other people get this feeling when you I have either peed myself on this train seat, or it's going to be a murder scene when I get to work. And got to work, lo and behold, things were happening. So I rang the doctor's office and was like, look, this is what's happening. And his nurse rang me back and was like, can you be here in half an hour? I've squeezed an appointment in for you. Get yourself here. It's go time. Let's do this. And yeah, I got there and he was like, sick, here's your new prescription. We're going to do basically the same process again. So start your Clomid today. Did the 5-day cycle of Clomid again, did all of the blood tests, did the scan, and he's like, both times we only had one egg. That is kind of the risk with Clomid. I think there's like a higher than average chance of twins and like multiple births and stuff like that. We only ever had one egg at a time. Ben was a bit of a high risk pregnancy early on, but again, I'll kind of talk about that in another story time video, I think, because that, boys and girls, is a story unto itself. My little angel faces. I haven't had a scan since I had Ben, so I'm not sure if my ovaries are still looking like bunches of grapes, like if they're still polycystic. Who knows what's going on in there. I should probably get it checked out. I should do that. So it took us, you know, miscarriage and everything from start to whipping Ben out and having him screaming on my chest was, I mean, it took us 12 months to get pregnant. So from when we first started trying by ourselves and then we got the confirmation that Ben was in the oven, was 12 months to the day, basically, with a pretty yucky period in the middle. He was born in a snap lockdown in Brisbane, so Christoph was allowed to be there for the birth, but he had to wear a mask, and we weren't allowed. The birth didn't entirely go to plan, but again, that's a different story for another story time video, because it's a lot. But yeah, I think, you know, please, if there's anything that anybody wants to know about pregnancy with PCOS or PCOS or polycystic ovaries, whatever you prefer to call it, please let me know. Start a conversation. Send me a little message and we can have a chat, because no one talks about it. And it's, you know, one of the first things they told me when I was diagnosed, that it's really hard to get pregnant, but they don't there's no real conversation about how exactly that happens, and, you know, things that you can do to help yourself out. A lovely person to follow would be Sarah's Day, who has lots of videos from when she was pregnant with her little boy Foxy, how she had, you know, she's done a lot of work trying to, I guess, heal herself internally and try and live, I guess, like a holistic, nice, healthy lifestyle to mitigate some of the effects of polycystic ovaries. And so yeah, she's a great person to follow as well. She's having another baby soon. It's going to be great.
A few moments later.
Guys, sorry, I was just putting this together and I realized there are a couple of things that I wanted to mention that I didn't. So the later times, pouring outside, hence the light. Vicar of Dibley is no longer on, which is sad. But yeah, a few things that I wanted to mention that I think are important in the process. Firstly, communication. Take your partner with you to your appointments. Give him or her, anybody, find some, you know, literature for people to read so that they understand kind of the ins and outs of what's happening. You need to be on this, like, if you're going to have a baby with someone, you need to be on the same page. They need to understand the process, what the potential issues are, what could happen. Like, go to all your appointments together. Just, you know, communicate so you're on the same page. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody has, you know, the same expectations. So it's not just, you know, you're trying to have the baby and whoever else is just in the background kind of just waiting for shit to happen. So that's the first thing. Secondly, build a good team. And I mean that both medically and support-wise. So I think it's very important for anybody really, but especially for reproductive health, you need to be comfortable with your doctor. And it's not even a case of, you know, like, that doctor's not giving me the answer that I want, so I'm going to find a new one. Like, your doctor needs to be supportive. They need to be giving you, you know, correct information, but in a good way. Like, it's kind of, I think fertility for a lot of people is quite difficult to talk about, but, you know, if this is the path that you've chosen to go down, like, please note, you don't need to stay with a doctor who might be, you know, not having the best bedside manner, or who's speaking to you like shit, or find a good doctor. Can't stress, like, find a good doctor. Find a bloody good doctor. There's great doctors around. Like, there are specifically ones in Brisbane that I know of that are spectacular doctors. Find good ones, be comfortable, have the initial appointments, set out your goals, be realistic, be honest with your doctors, like, follow the treatment plans, make sure you're comfortable, have the conversations that you need to have. Change doctors if you need to. If you don't feel comfortable, change doctors, go and see someone else, get a new referral, have a break for a while. Like, it can be so all-consuming and it's so hard, but just, yeah, build a great team. Also, support-wise, like I said before, like, involve your partner, involve the person. You're going to raise a baby together, so please, like, this part is just as important as the pregnancy, is just as important as the labor, is just as important as, you know, your child's life. You are raising this child together, and that starts now. It starts with the doctor's appointments. Go together, go to the scans, talk through, you know, I need to go and have this blood test and this is why. Like, everyone needs to understand and be on the same page. And, you know, involve your friends, tell your friends what's going on. I think there's such a kind of push to keep things like this under wraps, and then, you know, people just announce at 12 weeks and no genders at 12 weeks, and people just do like a gender reveal and, oh, I'm pregnant, and there's no background information on how they got to that point. Tell your friends, tell people in your family. You would be surprised. Like, I think 1 in 4 women has a miscarriage. The stats for polycystic ovaries are huge. The stats for endometriosis are huge. Like, you would be surprised, I think, how many people are probably in a similar situation to yourself. And just no one talks about it, and it's crazy. So yeah, find, you know, some key friends. Don't like tell everybody. Don't like shouting from the rooftops like, hey, I'm reproductively challenged. Find people that you trust, that you're comfortable talking about this kind of, you know, these kind of details with. Tell those people what's going on. Discuss it. Sometimes it's good just to have a sounding board, so you're not just, you know, stuck inside your own head, trapped in this cycle of like trying to make a baby. And sometimes it'll feel like a treadmill, and it's nice to be able to jump off and just relax for a bit. Talk to your friends and be like, you know what, this is fucked. And your friends will probably be like, yeah, it is, it's bullshit. Like, I see you, girlfriend. Have a good support network. Talk about it. Have good doctors. And just try not to let it consume you to the point where you forget about, you know, your relationship with your partner. I've seen, you know, I think everyone knows someone that's trying to have a baby, and I think sometimes they forget, like, it's hard hearing the phrase like, oh, you know, just relax and it'll happen, like, but I think sometimes people sacrifice portions of their relationship in the journey to that goal. Like, just relax, enjoy your partner. Like, you're gonna raise a baby together, you need to still like each other when the baby arrives, you know. But yeah, try not to put too much pressure on yourself. There's help available to you. Read some blogs, talk to me. I will talk to anybody about anything baby related, reproductive system related, breastfeeding related, you name it. I will chat to you about it. Please use me. Side note, I'm exhausted now. Like, that last little bit got a bit ranty, and I'm sorry. Something I'm very passionate about. Need to have a rest and enjoy my bloody wedges and my mayonnaise.